Hello and thanks for checking out this video of my mini shed for my air compressor and shop vac. I am running out of space in my pallet shed and they are also noisy when they run, so I am moving them outside. This is part one of probably 2 videos and I will take you up to one wall being finished. I will show you how I started building this with all recycled wood, so let's get started. So I got a couple concrete blocks in the ground. I just dug them down maybe like 8 inches down, put some gravel in the base first and then put the block on top of it and leveled them up. Then I got 2 4x4 pressure treated posts sitting on top of those cinder blocks. They're solid cinder blocks, not hollow, just to keep it off the ground a little bit and give it a good base. So now I'm going to sit the basically the floor on top of these 4x4s that I've just made out of pallet wood, the runners in the pallet wood. Screwed them together. It's going to end up being about 7 foot 4 inches long and about 27 inches wide. That should give me enough room to just get my air compressor inside it and the 5-gallon bucket and my Dust Deputy vacuum system. I'll just use a couple clamps to hold them together. Alright, I got that clamp together. Now I'm just going to put a few nails in those blocks to hold that together, and then I'll put some toenails in from the joist, basically the joist into the 4x4s. Okay, I got the deck boards that are going to go down, squared off one end, measured 3 foot 7 3/4. That gives me my halfway mark, and I'm just going to trim these off. This board here is a little bit long, so I'm just going to trace underneath of it. Then I'll go cut that on the table saw. Alright, this turned out to be about 7/8, so I set the saw to 7/8. Just going to take off this little edge right here. Already took out the nails, so I don't worry about hitting those with the saw. Okay, now I'll get the other side cut, and then I'll fasten those down. Now I'm going to mark the joist locations, draw lines, and then I'm going to staple this down with some crown staples. just mark lines from end to end, so I know where to put the staples. Then just using these crown staples here. That's all, 1.5 inch. Okay, these boards here are going to be the bottom plate for the back wall. I'm just measuring the center of the board so I can sit it in the middle of this floor, and then I'll measure the 2 outside ends and cut those pieces to fit. I won't be using these boards in this video. These will be used in part 2 when I build the other walls. So I need the back wall studs. I need to make them about 3'6". So I got to cut these down a little bit. I'm going to square off this side here. Then I'll go 3'6" and cut that side off. I got to work around some of these nails. This will be the back of the box. This is the top of the back wall. So it's going to be a 15-degree cut on here, so the roof angles down. So we put the pivot point in the corner. Here's your gauge for how many degrees you're going to tip. Adjust that to 15. And that's going to be the cut. So for the siding, I'm going to put on the outside of this box. I'm just thinking ahead a little bit, and the size I have is not quite long enough to go all the way across the front with 2 pieces. There's a gap in between, so I'm going to take the middle stud in the back, and I got this piece of pallet wood. I'm going to put that in the back sideways so I can cover the gap in the back, and you'll see as I go along how it works out here. So I'm just going to cut this 15-degree angle on the top because this will be sideways. Here I got the back wall studs. So I got 5 of them going across. The one here in the middle is the one I turned sideways to make it so I have more room in the back to attach the siding. I got the bottom plate of the stud wall just sitting on the bottom right now. I got to attach the studs to it So first I will mark the stud locations going across. I'm just going to evenly space these and screw them to the bottom plate. So I decided to nail these in instead of screwing them in. Cut some pieces of scrap. I'm just going to nail across the top to keep everything together as I move it around. So let me get that turned around. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just stand this wall up, and I'm just going to use some clamps. I'm just going to clamp it in place and then maybe put a brace on the back side of it to so it doesn't move around too much. It's hard with this pallet wood, everything's not the straightest. Alright, all I'm going to do is just put some braces on the edge here. It's all straight. Now that my clamps are in the way of putting the siding on, I'll probably just put some screws down in the base so I can take those clamps off. So that's probably what I'll do. I'm not going to record that, but that's what I'm doing. I cut another one of these studs to go on the on the corners because of my pallet wood not being long enough to run across the front of this. So I'm just going to clamp these in place and nail them in. Okay, we're going to start putting some siding on here. Maybe clap siding or lap siding, whatever it's called. That's the kind of like the look we're going for. So I'm just coming to the edge of this first stud here, or the second stud, depending how you look at it, but right in the middle of these two. And that way I got something to nail to. This piece here, this will just be nailed to right here on the bottom. That's what I was afraid of, the splitting. I'm going to have these here. I made these little blocks up. It goes kind of here. It gives me my half-inch edge I want to kind of have. So kind of sit that like that. Put that there. Because of that, I'm not gonna put it on like that. So I'm just gonna use some finishing nails because for what this is doing, I think that should be fine. I mean, if it was a house,
I would definitely feel worse about it. But I wouldn't be using pallet wood on a house either. This does not have to be perfect, but I do want it to be somewhat waterproof a little bit. Same approach, but I think I might use more of these nails. Okay, I took off the top piece I had on there just as a support. I actually put some bracing inside, so when I do move this, I won't have to put that on. But now I'm going to add a top piece up here that kind of just comes out to meet up with this angle, and then that should help the roof, I guess. Don't really know, just winging it. So I'm just gonna line this up with the angle of this, bring it up to it, and then I'm just gonna nail it in place. Okay, I got a buddy of mine looked at this and said I should put a starter strip underneath this board here so it keeps the same angle. And it's a good point, because then when a piece of trim comes down, it'll be hopefully kind of sit flat. So I just putting a piece of 5/8 back here. It's the same width as this, and I'm going to nail it just to this bottom board because I can't have it nailed to here because I got to take this whole piece off and move it to the back. So that'll just be like a spacer that's going back there. So I'm just going to tack that in place. Alright, now I'm gonna put one coat of stain on this, just on the outside siding that I just put on. But I'm just gonna put that on real fast and then let that dry. Okay, a piece of trim board is going to cover the gap in between these pieces of siding. I'm just going to center it between the two, and then drive screws in here. I got a 45-degree angle on the bottom, so when the bottom piece goes on, try to stop any water from going behind it. So I'm just going to eyeball this up. I'm going to make it flush with the top here. I'm going to pre-drill the holes. And then once I get these mounted, I'll take them back off. I'll stain the back side. Then I'll put them back on and stain the front side. That way I'll get all sides of this piece stained. Alright, so I got the back side stained and the bottom. Just put these back on. Second one, stained up. Not pulling that in super tight, just kind of tight until the screw head starts to sink down a little bit. Now I'll put a coat of stain on that. Okay, so I got the wall turned around and now it's in its final resting position against the pallet shed. So I just got to fasten it to the floor and get it straight and plumbed up. Well, I'm not going to plumb it up yet, but just got to get it mounted to the floor, and then I'll start building the front wall. So